Yes, people, we are live at the AlbertJTV household and the Hollie Hotspurs household. North London derby time. We did it once, we're doing it again. We're back for a second collaboration. But before we get into it, people, let's smash the intro. North London community, we are back yet again. Battle lines have been drawn. Rivalries reignited. Arsenal versus Tottenham. Match preview time. AlbertJTV meets Hollie's Hotspurs. Hashtag North London Derby. Yes, people, we are back for North London Derby time. The nerves are kicking in, not just yet, because at Arsenal at the moment, we're at a nice position in the table, looking down at our rivals for temporarily and hopefully for the foreseeable future and for many more years to come. But I thought I'd rub that in with Hollie. But people, joint collaboration. We're back again for a match preview. The red and white of Arsenal versus the blue and white of Tottenham. Smash the like button on my channel and also smash the like button on Hollie's channel, because don't just do it on mine, do it on hers as well. And vice versa, if you can, put the rivalry aside just for a live stream podcast for a little bit. I've got my Tottenham wife, who I don't see very often because, like I said before, we can't stand each other. We hate this, we hate each other. We don't like the teams we support. We don't like the players, the ground, the grass, everything. But Hollie, it's good to see you once again. Welcome back for this joint collaboration.
No, it's great. I mean, I know you say you're above us at the moment, but not for long. It'll be fine. You're only up there a tiny, weeny bit above us. It's not as if there's a massive gaping gap. But anyway, I thought I'd let you have your little bit of time. But no, it is great to be back. Like I say, we don't really see eye to eye on football, but it's nice to do a stream like this. Hopefully it'll be a bit spicy as well.
It will be spicy. Let's we'll come to the comments a bit. Like, people, like I said, multitask and smash the like button and subscribe to both channels. As you see in the title, Hollie's channel is in there. So people, go and subscribe and just put the rivalry aside for a little bit. Get her subscribed up a little bit. She deserves it. Great content creator, Hollie. But Hollie, because obviously it's a home game and top of the league just for now and a good start to the season, goals galore. I'm going to introduce my home team into the stream. Debutant, hottest property in North London. Gonna bring in Ray, my boy. Ray, welcome to the live stream, man. Welcome to AlbertJTV, man. This is spicy, man, bro.
Yes, guys. Thank you for having me, Albert. Great to see you, Hollie. It's a shame about the team you support, but it is what it is, really, isn't it? Yeah, let's do it. It's always a bit nervy, but always exciting, North London derbies. So yeah, well up for this.
Well said, Ray. Well said. And I'm gonna bring in my fantastic. I bring this man out for the big nights. I call him King Kesh. Let me bring him into the chat if I can find him. Where's he gone? He's right there. Bang! There he is, man. Kesh, welcome back, bro.
What's up, then? Good?
Yeah, man, bro. Listen, when I see you this time of the year, man, this is serious business, We've got the Tottenham wife in tonight, and she's going to bring in her family a little bit later. So, Kesh, welcome back, man. Seriously, man. Looking forward to this, man. But yes, Hollie, I'm going to hand back to my fantastic collaboration Tottenham wife to bring in your Tottenham lads to join the stream.
Yes, please. I'm getting a bit, scared at the moment. There's too many of you, so I need a bit of my own town at the most. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome on Luke first. So hello, Luke. Welcome for joining me tonight. I think I need some backup, to be honest.
Yeah, what's happening, everyone? Thanks for having me on. Really, really appreciate it. That's probably the nicest thing that I'm going to say this entire stream.
Hold on a minute. Just warm yourself up a little bit first. Hold on.
No, I really appreciate it. Let's go. I'm buzzing for this.
No, Luke, good to get you on, man.
Yeah, it should be good. And also, the geezer Wes, man, he's drafted last minute. I cannot thank him enough. Wes, I know I need you on to obviously give you a tactical analysis for this game as well. So, Wes, thank you for coming on.
Not a problem, and good evening to everybody whose teams in North London are playing in the Champions League this season. But yeah, let's get cracking. Up the Spurs.
We're in the Women's Champions League tonight, actually. So,
oh, there you go, Steve.
So technically,
technically,
there you go.
I'm not wrong then.
I'm not wrong.
No, don't worry. Wes, you said
Exactly.
to me before the live stream you're coming to the game, so we'll, I might take you around the where the marble halls are, all the silverware is, lovely league titles, Bill Nicholson days, we've won a few since then, but it's all right, mate. But welcome to the show, brother, man. Good to get you on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks, Hollie, for the very, very last minute call up. I feel like an absolute super sub that has been drafted in last minute. So yeah, but no, let's get into it, shall we?
Absolutely. Hollie?
Hello.
Yes, I'll go. No, yeah, of course, it's my turn. Isn't it? Sorry, Hollie. I apologize. It's my
I
fault.
was a bit lost then. I was like, huh?
No, it's all right. It's fine. It's fine. People, you're with us. This will also go out on the audio later, people. So, Tottenham and Arsenal fans, you can listen to everybody's dulcet tones a bit later and maybe tomorrow as well. So, yeah, to kick off this sort of show, really, start with the Tottenham lads first, because pose some questions to you and tell me your views about your beloved Tottenham. But kick off with Luke, actually. Just kind of what was your it's a two-part question, so I'll get both your sort of your views really. But what's your sort of ambitions for the start of the season, and were you happy with your summer window signings?
Yeah, so the ambitions before, I would say even probably like the last day of the season, when we secured Champions League football, was top 3 in the Premier League and a trophy at the end of the season. That's my ambitions, and that's I don't think is being too optimistic either. It's building on a season that we had last season. It's building on a full summer transfer window with Antonio Conte, and if we are going to win something in the near future, now is the time that it needs to happen. In terms of we now have the manager of that stature. We now see that he has been backed at least to some degree, and so for me that would see that's my ambitions for the season. In terms of the transfer window, I'm relatively happy. A lot of the naysayers that say, the transfer window wasn't as good as it should have been. We should have got another centre-back in, a top quality centre-back. Yes, those things are all true. But at the same level, when have you ever seen a Tottenham sign 7 signings, in a transfer window? When have you seen us sign, at least 4 or 5 of them before the pre-season has even kicked off? To me, we've filled areas of the pitch we needed to. We've bought smartly, and some of the transfers that people, doubted when they came in have really, really shone this season. So I'd probably give it 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, cool. Where sort of do you go along with that, but also as well, what have you noticed in terms of maybe the difference, maybe in formations or tactics or the way Tottenham are playing to last season, sort of going looking at the first 6 or 7 games this season?
I think obviously just kind of my thoughts on this season. I think for us, for me, it was just progress from last season, and people might go, well, what does that actually look like? I don't particularly know. I don't even know if people in the club will know, and I think to every single fan that's going to look a bit different as well. But I think with the squad that we've got, with the manager that we've got, I can't see why we shouldn't be at least looking to finish third. I think we've got the capabilities to do that. And I think the main thing for us, I would say, is consistency. We've seen at times where we lack consistency, and we saw that a little bit last season when Conte was in charge. But yeah, I think Luke pretty much hit the nail on the head there with, a third place finish, and picking up a trophy of some sort would represent real progress for Tottenham. And actually, I mean, it's not just all about like the kind of need and the want to win a trophy for me. I just think as long as I'm seeing progress within the football club, then, you can't really argue with that. But I think it is, as Luke said there, we've got the infrastructure, we've got the training ground, we've got the stadium, we've got a world-class manager who's in his prime that knows how to get over the line. And hopefully he can, he can do that for us, because I think we sort of lost our way a little bit towards sort of the back end of Poch's time and sort of in between Poch and Conte. And it felt like that throughout the whole club as well. I think the whole ethos of the club, we just felt a little bit lost. So I think if we can regain that sort of focus, obviously with Conte in charge, then, who knows what will happen in the future. But I think in terms of tactically at the moment, we aren't necessarily seeing Kane dropping in as much That was a real feature and a fixture of our play, especially under Conte. If you look at the City game in particular, we've just absolutely done a number on him. And I think the key for that was having those willing runners. I think at the minute it feels like we are staying in games for a lot of the time, and then Conte will make his changes, and then we will see a bit of a kick. We are definitely a second half team under Conte. I think most Spurs fans will say that our first half performances under Conte have not been that great, probably barring City away. But actually, second half, it's almost like he goes in at half time, gives an absolute volley. They come out second half and they're absolutely, going, right, we've got to impress this guy, because if not, like, we're in the mud basically. I think tactically I haven't seen too much difference just yet. But yeah, I just think from a sort of personnel perspective and performance perspective, we seem to just be staying in games for as long as we can, and trying to then nick a goal and then take the emphasis away from the opposition, because when we get ahead, it suits us perfectly, because the opposition have to come out and then we can just counter at them, and we've got a clinical front four, I think, as anybody in the league, and they can put their chances away when they're presented with them. I haven't seen too many differences tactically, but that's kind of my thoughts so far, I'd say.
Hollie, before I'll hand to fantastic Hollie, Wes, you make some good points there, and you mentioned about trophies, so hopefully you'll see one in your lifetime. So we'll move on back to Hollie anyway.
Fabulous. Any chance to get a dig in, and Albert throws it in. Anyway, moving obviously aside from Tottenham, Ray, I'll start with you. Obviously, it's kind of the same question that Albert's asked, but with a little bit of a twist. Obviously, your transfer window, what do you kind of make of it? Obviously, I know probably the main guy you're going to mention is Jesus, so I'll let you fire ahead with it, Ray.
Yeah, I mean, I think going into the summer, we probably only had Nketiah, who just signed. So getting a striker in was absolutely key. And Jesus has actually surprised me. I didn't think his movement was as good as it is. He just looked deadly in the box. And it will be a really interesting matchup, I think, between. I'm going to guess you're going to be playing a back three.
We'll touch on that.
So if we can see what Jesus is like in that, I think that'd be a really interesting move. With that, I think we've just added a lot of depth. We do need a bit more, but in terms of the positions where we fell short, so for example, when Tierney was out last season, we had Tavares in. Now we've got an option in Zinchenko. We've got these other players that we brought in. I think I'm happy with it, but it's just, can they all stay fit? That's the biggest thing with us.
Right, it's interesting you say that, because I think as funny as it is that I joke with Albert and say there are some parallels with Arsenal and Tottenham. There kind of is, because we've kind of had the same problem with
really.
Pep, so, yeah, sometimes.
No, sorry. You're right. I agree. Sorry.
No, we do get on some things. We do see eye to eye with some things, but it is interesting, Ray, that you say obviously that depth kind of thing. Kesh, would you kind of be on the same wavelength with Ray in terms of, you think it's been a successful transfer window for you guys?
I think it's been. I think it's been an all right window in terms of getting in positions that we know we needed to get in. Considering that we got rid of Aubameyang, got rid of Lacazette, so we needed a more senior, more player that's ready to step up rather than just relying on the likes of Eddie Nketiah. Zinchenko's come in, and I think there's a good balance between him and Tierney, depending on what game, what opponent you're playing. In terms of the right winger position, we've known for the last 18 months,
long time,
2 seasons basically, that Pepe is not in favour with the manager, so Saka needs a bit of competition. We know when the likes of Partey is injured that our game plan somehow goes out the window. Like, he is the glue to this team. He is the freedom to the Granit Xhaka in terms of the new role that he's taken up in the manager's system. So those are 2 positions that's very concerning for me. And you saw in the last few days of the window, we tried to get the likes of Douglas Luiz, get it over the line. That's really disappointing for me, because like you saw when we went to Manchester United, we just didn't know what to do without Partey being there. Our whole game plan changes. We end up having to make Xhaka drop a bit deeper and we don't like when Xhaka's that deep. You get what I'm saying? So new role that he's picked up where his managers allowed him a bit of freedom, less defensive duty, and a bit of a freedom to roll and get into the box and actually be someone who's more of a creator than the defensive unit. I think it's worked well.
No, yeah, it's interesting. No, it is a good shout. Like I say, I don't really know Arsenal as well as you guys, so it's quite interesting to obviously hear what you have to say. Obviously, I wouldn't want to know Arsenal too well. But anyway, Albert, I'll pass back over to you, mate.
They want trophies.
Shut up.
No, Hollie, thank you. People, as you can see, all the Twitter handles are going on the bottom of the screen. So, footballing community, go and follow and subscribe, man, and follow people on Twitter and subscribe to me and Hollie's channel. Hollie, I'm going to kick off with you actually, and I'm going to come to the other two guys. But sort of coming into this game, I know your record actually isn't that great at the Emirates, just as our record isn't great at Spurs. You haven't won the Emirates since 2010, I believe it is. A painful 3-2 defeat. I remember it like it was yesterday. Yunus Kabul give me nightmares. Yes, unbelievable. But
yeah, he's got a face that gives you nightmares, though, isn't he? To be fair,
Van der Vaart, run it back for the man them in the building.
Even Shamak scored. That was a long time ago. So yeah, Hollie, you've sort of coming into this game. Obviously, you know your record isn't particularly very good at the Emirates. What gives you confidence that you can go there on Saturday and pick up a positive result, i.e., a win?
The fact that we managed to get a point off of Chelsea. I won't go into obviously the dramatics of what happened and whether it was fair or not, but it's been a long time since we've done that at Stamford Bridge. So in that kind of sense, I feel a bit more confident that maybe it might go in our favour. But also, obviously, our front four. Leicester game, Sonny came back out of the blocks. He's got a hat-trick and he's gone and played for South Korea and obviously got a couple of goals from there. But everybody in that front four seems like they're at their peak at the moment, and it's a great time to obviously come and play you. So if there was only a better time to play you at the Emirates, it would be now. But I think it is purely because obviously we got a point against Chelsea and the fact that our front four are firing.
Yeah, Hollie, I mean, it's Tottenham not used to coming to the Emirates when we're top of the table, so it's quite a new experience, to be honest. But coming to sort of Luke, for you, what are the standout key battles for you that will either get Tottenham dominating this game or Arsenal kind of stepping up and coming away with it? What are the key battles you sort of look at from sort of both sides?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question, actually. Like, it's going to be really interesting, I think, like on the wings, especially like depending on who plays. Like, I personally see it being Son, Kane, Kulusevski, the front three that plays. But you know, it could change, but that's what I see. I think that Conte will go with what he knows works and what has worked in the past. You know, let's look back at the last North London derby. In terms of that, that's where I would really see it. Obviously, you know, we're going to be looking at key battles all over the pitch. You know, especially Jesus, on whether Romero plays, on whether it's going to be Dara that then picks them up, whether it's going to be whoever plays left centre back. You know, it's going to be really interesting. And I think for him as a player, he's going to have to be able to switch around the defence because we're going to put somebody on him, and it just depends on whether he has the ability to do that. In terms of the game in general, the strongest battle out of them all is the managerial battle, in my opinion.
Okay. Because
if we look at Arsenal this season, I, unlike Hollie, actually know quite a lot more about Arsenal. And so, no offence to Hollie, but, you know, when I watched that Man United game with Arsenal, and when I watched the last North London derby, like, the naivety of the manager concerns me if I was an Arsenal fan in these big games. Because we look at Rob Holding on Heung-min Son in the game at our ground. Yeah. Or you look at chasing the game against Man United and making a tactical switch that backfired. You know, it's those key battles that I would be concerned about as an Arsenal fan, if I was one, but one that I'm, you know, looking forward to as a Spurs fan. And look, it might not go one way. We do have a bad record at the Emirates. So, you know, I'm not by all means saying we're going to completely do you over.
Luke, let me come in quickly. So I'm going to come back to you. So you see, you saying about if we as an Arsenal fan be worried. Are you basing that more off last season, or have you not seen anything this season with Arsenal?
No, so I have seen seen Arsenal this season. I saw the game against Fulham. Whereby tactical switch late on, won you the game, but before that, struggling to break them down and going 1-0 down against a Fulham side. I would also look at the Arsenal game, the Man United game, because if we look at it in reality, we're talking about big games. I'm not talking about Bournemouth. I'm not talking about Fulham. I'm not talking about Crystal Palace. I'm not talking about these teams that are lower down in the league that you should be beating. I'm looking at the big games. And the Man United game was a key one for me, where I believe that tactical change late on threw the game away for Arsenal.
Okay. No, fair enough. But you say that, before I come to Wedge, you say that about beating the teams you should be beating. But with Arsenal, and Kesh and Ray will back me up, these are the games we were not winning last season, 2 seasons ago. These are the games we were consistently dropping points. I take your point, though, because one of my biggest bugbears with Arsenal for a number of years is, I always say, I call them the judgment games against the other bigger sides. I want us to start going away from home, and we ain't got no divine right to go and beat these teams, but we need to start going there and getting wins. That's my only sort of issue with Arsenal in the last recent years. But no,
I agree. I do agree with you. That last season you were losing against the Bournemouth, the Palace, the Southampton. I remember those games, but it's that managerial battle that I want to see, and I want to see it going well.
No, good. Well, good, great chat, Luke. Great chat. I like that. Wes, bringing you in. Sort of a same question to you, but in particular, Ray's already touched on him. I thought it was crackers with Arsenal fan base when we was linked with Jesus, for example. To me, I see people being hesitant and rested. I'm like, are you guys mad? Like, you don't have to be an Arsenal. I'm not a Man City fan, but I see the guy play enough in this league to see how good he is. Has he surprised you? I mean, obviously hasn't struggled since he's come to Arsenal, but what's impressed you about him? And he was rumoured with Spurs actually, sort of in the summer transfer window. So what do you make of him? Sort of how he's done at Arsenal?
Listen, I think Jesus was the perfect buy for you boys, and I know it pains me to say it, but
say it louder, Luke. Say it louder.
Well, if you look at the way Arsenal play compared to the way City played, yes, they dominate the ball, but actually they get a lot of crosses into the box, and that's an underestimated attribute or key factor of their game, is the amount of crosses they actually put into the box. That's not Jesus' game. Jesus' game is playing on that shoulder, looking to get him behind. Exactly the way Arsenal play, because you have a 10. You have Odegaard or Smith Rowe that can pick those passes. I think the biggest surprise for me with Jesus is how clinical he's been. Because I think there was times at City where he was slightly wasteful. And don't get me wrong, Jesus scored some big goals in important games for City at important times within games, but it was a 1 in 2 or 3 kind of thing with him. And I think he's just come in and gone, right, I think he knows he's the main guy at Arsenal. Whereas at City, it was like one of those where, okay, I might play, I might not. We've got some world-class players. If I play, buzz in. If not, well, I've got this guy in front of me. Whereas at Arsenal, he hasn't got that argument against him. So I think he's taken on that responsibility of being the Arsenal number 9. And like I say, I think that the thing that's impressed with him the most is movement, timing of his runs, and then how clinical he's been in front of goal. But obviously credit to Arteta and his coaching staff for getting him out on the training pitch and going through those clips with him and going out on the training ground and on the grass and working with him on that. I think that's been the biggest thing for me with regards to Jesus. Look, when we were linked with him, I said this to both Luke and Hollie before, it was like he'd be a great asset for us as well, because he is one that can play across all positions. I mean, he'd still look great on our bench, but it's one of those whereby he covers those positions whereby we did need somebody that can be able to do that. And obviously we got the one that actually plays and scores for Brazil instead of Jesus. So
hold on, less of that, right.
I'm spitting facts, Albert. You know what I mean? I'm spitting facts, bruv. So, but no, like I say, I think with Jesus, he's gonna be bang up for this one. It's just one of these games where I think he's gonna want to turn up for as well.
Wes, thank you for the glowing endorsement of our Brazilian starlight. So I'll hand back to my fantastic co-host Hollie.
You know what? I'm going to keep with that starlight in Richarlison and Kesh and come to you,
Oh
mate.
my
Obviously,
God.
Albert's spoken about Jesus with Wes. I want to speak to you about Richarlison. Now, the joke is obviously that the fee was so high. But what do you make of him in a Spurs shirt, apart from the fact that you probably don't like him?
Listen, I think you kind of overpaid, but we all know the market's crazy these days anyway. It's sometimes it's out of your control. Do I think he's an exceptional player? I don't. But what I do know is Conte knows how to get the best out of the most mediocre players there is. So it doesn't really matter about the ability or anything like that. I do think he's done well so far. And I think he's an option that you've needed. Someone that could probably, if Kane gets injured, obviously we know last season, out of how many, Kane managed to play a full season. This season, if he does get injured, Richarlison can go up and play the number 9. And you've got someone who can play out on the wing also. So I think it's a good option that you've brought in.
No, I mean, I was going to say something like, but this mediocre player plays for Brazil and Jesus can't manage to get in. But I didn't want to interrupt you in your flow, so I left that to the end.
No, it is though. Like, listen, I get it. I've read what the manager said.
Yeah.
He said that Jesus and the likes of Gabriel are in his plan. So it's nothing to cry at home about, you know. But obviously, when the World Cup comes about, we'll see what the manager's plan is.
Exactly.
All right.
The Pigeon Man's still auditioning, isn't he? So come on.
Well, turns out that Jesus doesn't even want to play striker, and he would rather play on the wing. And Brazil manager would rather he played up front. But anyway, that's not here nor there.
Yes. We'll talk. We'll do World Cup. Don't worry. We'll line up something for that. Don't worry about that. Hollie, carry on, Hollie.
Oh dear, but no, I think you're right. I can't be. Obviously, I love Richarlison. You guys love Jesus. That's just the way it is. You love the player that's obviously in wearing your colours. Obviously, blue and white, the better of them all. But anyway, before I do any more,
I'll let you get around that one. Go on.
I want to talk to you, obviously, Ray, about our defence, because I don't want to ask Wes and Luke because I feel like we discuss that all the bloody time. But obviously, last North London derby at home, we obviously had Sanchez at the back. Now, I would prefer to have Romero at the back. Obviously, for you guys, I feel like you'd rather have Sanchez. But with our defence, do you think you'll be able to kind of exploit us with either Sanchez, if Sanchez was to be at the back, so to say?
Yeah, I do. Luke said earlier on, if Romero plays, and please educate me because I hear a lot about Romero being one of the best centre-backs in the league, and I'm sure he's very good. However, he doesn't always seem to play for you guys. Now, is that just purely down to injury, or is it just that, Eric Dyer and Ben Davies keeps him out the side?
I think, I'm not just saying this, I think it is purely down to his how injury prone he is. I don't want to say that obviously I don't think the likes of Sanchez and Dyer get in front of him. I just think he is just very injury prone, which is a crap answer, but I just generally think that's what it is.
Oh, I won't be too harsh in my criticism then.
He got injured when he smashed Kai Havertz, didn't he, against Chelsea?
He does seem to get a lot of injuries, just stylistically the way he plays, isn't it?
Just goes through people.
Yeah, that's it. Like that's it. That tackle against Havertz there was no need for it, but he'd already got done over by Havertz, and all he had in his brain was the next time I see him with the ball, he's getting it, and then he comes out worse for wear from it. But I think he'll play. But I think that's what it is, rather than he's a full-blooded centre back as opposed to some of the
fair enough. Well, I mean, in terms of how we're going to hurt you, really. I think it's going to be a case of attacking actually in behind your fullbacks when they're pushing up. If we can do that with the pace of Martinelli and Saka, I feel like we can drag your centre-backs out of position. And then going back to the movement of Gabriel Jesus, I think that if he's against Eric Dyer, Romero, whoever, I think he can get in behind there and really cause some issues for you for the Spurs defence. And that also allows players like Ødegaard and whoever else may be attacking to vacate them spaces and really get some shots away. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be a very interesting game. And like I say, I'll be interested to see what defense you actually put out because Because, like I say, I hear a lot about Romero, and I'm
hear a
still
lot
making
too.
my mind up about him. It's just, will he play? We'll see.
I think the thing is with Romero and Spurs fans, we've had such shit players for a long time. When we get someone like Romero, we're like, that's
Hollie,
it. He's the
Hollie,
Well,
one.
that's where we can
I was
agree
going
on
to say
something
that,
for
but you
once.
already beat me to it.
You say
I
that,
mean,
but
I've had-
Arsenal fans have had what, Mustafi and David
Yeah,
Luiz
exactly.
in the centre half.
Listen, I'm
that's
not
where we
complaining.
relate. That's where I
Wes,
hear your
listen.
pain. That's
That's
where I hear your pain.
I can speak for Cash. I'll speak for Cash and Ray. Trust me, we know. I've seen some.
We know a shit
ridiculously bad
defender
players.
when we see one.
Yeah,
Trust
we
us.
do, man. Trust me. You got the rights on that, man. But Hollie, sort of coming to you. Sorry, actually, I'm gonna sort of get the guys' thoughts quickly as the other Wes and Luke. This is your last team lineup against Leicester. Audio listeners, you're not neglected. So how different do you think that team will be from the team on Saturday against Arsenal?
I hope there's no Sanchez. And Romero slots in. I know he played amazing for obviously in the North London derby last year at home, but you can't be doing what he did against
That
Leicester in the
penalty.
opening
Oh
minutes.
my god. Yeah.
Honestly, if that happens away at the Emirates, that's it. We'll capitulate. I just no.
Is Lloris fit or?
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I did hear that.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
The thing is, I'd rather Lloris play than Fraser Foster because that guy always seems to come up with a worldie of a game.
Yeah.
Against us. It's annoying.
Sort of coming to Luke. Sorry, mate. It's all injury concerns, really. Sort of your team. Do you think that'll be similar, or is it? Was there issues with Lucas Moura, Ben Davies, and Hugo Lloris were the main three? Is that correct?
Yeah. So, as far as I haven't heard anything different, I would assume Lloris plays. In terms of centre back, I would say Romero playing to the Sanchez. It's going to be interesting who plays right wing back because obviously against Leicester he decided to play Perisic right wing back and Sessegnon left wing back. I wouldn't be surprised if he switches it to Perisic left wing back and Emerson right wing back, even though that's not my preferred choice. And I think that Heung-min Son plays instead of Richarlison. So they would be the kind of three changes. But in terms of centre backs, we want to see Romero, Dyer, and Longley. But yeah, I would say apart from that, would be pretty much as you can see.
Good shout. Wes, coming to you, sort of. I mean, I've not featured that many times when you bought Basuma. Is it a case of? Do you think he should be in the team, or is it just a case of Højbjerg is got that sort of place and sort of nailed down with that partnership with Bentancur? How do you see it?
I think. Listen, I think from a Spurs perspective, it's nice of us to have some options in midfield. It looks like we've got more options than NSG. Do you know what I mean? Like we've been so short for a long time. It's like right, we have to almost play our first 11. If not, we are knackered. In terms of Højbjerg nailing down that position, I think it's for Højbjerg and Bentancur to really lose at this stage. I think under Conte, he trusts them a lot, and they have struck up a really good partnership. I was at the West Ham game early on in the season when Højbjerg and Basuma both started together, and for me, it just didn't work. They both wanted to occupy the same spaces, so it was almost like you'd have your back three, and then the midfield two were literally just sat in front, and nobody wanted to try and break forward. Nobody wanted to try and play a pass that would break lines or try and get our front three involved in the game. It was just like right, let's get it and give it and keep it simple. I think, to have a player of the quality of Basuma, obviously, Arsenal have been linked with him for many, many years. And I think when Spurs bought him, I think everybody was like, wow, okay, he's probably regarded as one of, he's definitely up there in terms of one of the top holding midfielders in the league. So, yeah, I just think Conte has come out and said he's got a little bit of work to do. He is a little bit behind Højbjerg and Bentancur. But I firmly believe he'll get up to standard. Because I think if you don't get up to standard with Antonio Conte, you're getting shown the door. I think pretty quick. He's not one to suffer fools gladly, is Don Antonio. So yeah, I don't think he plays on. I don't think he starts on Saturday, but I think we saw at the end of the game towards the end of the game against Leicester anyway that we did go sort of 3-5-2, and actually it wasn't too shabby. Like it did work. So I think, like I said, it's Højbjerg and Bentancur's to lose. But what a great option I think for us to have in Basuma to come off the bench.
Well, Hollie, before you come in, so I'll just quickly ask you guys. So Kesh, quickly, because I know your knowledge of footballers around Europe and America, South America is brilliant. What have you made of I like Bentancur when before Juventus, Uruguay. What? Yeah, how do you think he's fitted in the Premier League?
I think he's fitted in well.
Yeah, good player.
I know there was a lot of chat saying he's a Juventus flop, but I didn't really buy into it. I thought he's just a player that's lost his way, which happens to many players at many other clubs. So I think with Conte, he doesn't really go for the most talented of players. He's got a certain profile, and that's what he goes for. And he's looking for players who's going to buy into his system and will adapt as quickly as possible. And they've done that. They've got him in, and he's impressed me over the last, he's been here about 10 months.
Yeah.
So it's a good signing for them, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I always had this conversation, right? As yes, I love Arsenal and the whole Tottenham thing. Some people get into it very deep on the social media side of it. But even I clipped a bit yesterday on my channel, for example, when I was talking about England with Big Up with G Talks, right? And I said it straight. Dara should be in the defense. And people are be like, oh no, you can't. What do you mean you can't say that? I'm not stupid, man. Like, you have to pick players on form. But anyway, that's another conversation. But listen, I'll say it. If someone's good, if they're well, Kesh mentioned it with Bentancur, why he plays for Tottenham. I don't want to play well on Saturday. Of course I don't. But I can recognize a baller. I can recognize a player that has an impact. I can recognize somebody that brings something to the team.
And he's the reason we're playing on Wednesdays this season, Albert. Do you know what I mean? I call him the Uruguayan Moussa Dembele. He's that good. And Hollie and Luke know my love for Moussa. You know, the great.
You know what's funny about this though?
Good.
I was speaking on his channel was on.
Not Terrace. Was you on Terrace?
Patrick. So it's a good Patrick. And Ash at the beginning of last season. And this is when a lot of Spurs fans was actually not seeing what I was seeing. A lot of them wanted Dyer out. And I was like, no, I think Dyer's actually come of age. But it was he's not. I was like, no, like sometimes footballers don't just develop, or you look at them and you think, well, you're 26, so you should be doing it right now. But some footballers are actually slow in development. I think he's come of age. And I think the system that Conte plays suits him. I wouldn't play him in a back four because I know what they get. But in a back three, I think he's very adaptable and he gets the job done.
Well said. See, we can be fair to you sometimes. Just through gritted teeth, but we can be fair sometimes.
It's all too nice, isn't it?
I've got
don't get carried away, Luke. Don't get carried away.
Romero's flying in with a 2-footer in a minute. Don't worry.
If we see him.
10 against 10 on Saturday, probably. But Hollie, come in, Hollie, come in.
So we've spoken obviously a little bit about the way Tottenham might set up or who we think is going to come in and out. But obviously, it'd be nice to obviously have a look about what Arsenal might set up. So, Albert, if you're far away, thank you very much. So, Ray, I'll start with you first. Are there any changes that you think that Arteta will make to obviously play us at the weekend?
Yeah, possibly Fabio Vieira could come out and Martin Odegaard could come in.
Yeah.
Supposedly he is fit. I think he played for Norway in the week as well. So I believe he would probably come in. And then the only other change is possibly Thomas Partey. He's a class midfield player, but he is made of glass, so he may not come in. We may have to see Sambi Lokonga in there. But in a one-off game in a North London derby at home, I've got full confidence in the boy. So I think they're probably the two changes out of that lineup that we'll probably see. But we're normally quite settled this season. I don't think our first 11 has changed too much.
Nice. No, that's a fair point. Like I say, maybe it's a few of those changes. I mean, you talk about I forgot his name now. Who you said that's made of glass? You talk about him, but that's the one. Yeah. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he plays for you. But Kesh, I want to come to you as well because obviously we've spoken about who might come in, and Ray makes a good point that you've kind of been quite settled. Do you think that's the reason why this year you've been racking up so many points? The fact that it's stayed consistent.
I think a lot of it comes down to circumstances. Also, I think the likes of Tomiyasu, we've known from last season where he was injured. We then brought him back. He then reoccurred the same injury. So I think going into the season, I think the manager's been a bit more smart about it rather than actually forcing him back earlier than what he should be. He's getting the chance to rest and actually recuperate and actually nurse his injury. Also, with the likes of Partey and that, I think Partey will come in. I do think he will come in. Reason being is he is the glue, like I said earlier. He is the glue to this team. Without Partey, what you're going to find is we're going to play the way we played against Man United. I know Luke was speaking on the Man United game. I just wanted to highlight that the way we played against Man United is nothing like how we've played against any other team. Reason being is you saw the likes of Granit Xhaka not picking up the spaces and positions that he tends to pick up in other games that we've played this season, because we haven't got that protection that Partey gives us, and also the necessity to actually bring the ball out. So Xhaka was actually dropping in deeper. If you watch the other games that we've played with Xhaka, he tends to get into the box a lot more frequently than you've ever seen him since he's been at this club. Yeah. So I think that's the difference. Partey allows him that freedom to do so. Also, the shape that we pick up, which is a 2-3-5 basically in attack. So Mikel and Pep calls it a flock of birds or whatever they call it. So, so yeah,
I can think of a different phrase.
So you got the likes of the wing backs tucking in. I think Ben White's actually adapted quite well to that role. I think that's been a plus to us this season, meaning that we haven't got to force the likes of Cedric in, who's probably not really adept enough to play that sort of role that the manager wants him to play.
That's fair enough. I mean, it's a great insight. Obviously, like I said, my knowledge of Arsenal isn't brilliant, but it's interesting to see how you guys think the season's gone and why you're doing so well, as it pains me to say. But Albert, do you want to rack on with a question for these guys?
I do. I'll touch on a bit of what you said, actually, Hollie. Actually, he was asking the question to my two kings for representing Arsenal. I think one of the contributing factors why Arsenal look a bit more solid. I always look at I love strikers looking at the attacking element, but for me, what I've honed in the last 2 and a bit years is our defense. There was a period where we different centre backs, different full backs. There was no continuity, and we had a trouble in keeping lots of clean sheets. And I said last season that with the likes of Ben White, Saliba's come back and looked like a complete Rolls Royce. Gabriel and Tomiyasu and Tierney. Get these guys playing week in, week out together. Let them have that year of bedding in. Let them understand the relationships and the strengths and weaknesses. We lost a lot of games last season, but we did keep 12 clean sheets. And I think we got a chance of actually equaling that or going above that in the Premier League anyway. And I think adding Saliba to that this season, we're more of a physical, imposing side, and that has to be highlighted because we're more of a threat from set pieces as well. Obviously, Nikola Jova, the set piece coach, has come in, but we're more of a physically imposing side, and defensively, Arsenal fans actually have a defense that we can trust a little bit more than we've ever had probably in a lot of the Arsenal fans' lifetimes, particularly from guys probably in their early to mid-20s. So I think that's a key component. Defensively, we are there's a lot more solidity. Would you go along with that, Kesh and Ray?
I totally agree.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I think the whole policy of going young and actually getting guys in who's going to be here for the next 2-3 years and actually build a sort of chemistry together and actually want to elevate the club. I think what we've had over the last few years is a lot of players that just here for the sakes of it. Yeah. Where there's no repercussions, you just play, you get paid, you go home, and those come in and change that. Despite what anyone thinks about him as his ability as a coach, I think he has brought that sort of solidity and unity between the whole squad as a whole.
Yeah, I think we're very balanced as well. Like, for example, I think we must have like maybe 5 or 6 left footers, and then obviously the same right footers, either side of the pitch. So that kind of opens up the pitch, in a completely different way for us. We've also got Ramsdale at the back now with goal.
Ramsdale,
who can pick a pass from midfield. As you mentioned earlier on, Thomas Partey, the best thing about him is he's so press resistant. Like if you try and nick the ball off him, he can just wriggle out of it and just move it on or carry the ball up the pitch. And it's working wonders for us. Like I say, we'll have to see whether our output and how our young players will cope for the rest of the season. But so far, other than the United game, I think we've passed every test really. And I think that United game is going to be a good litmus test for this game. I think that you are obviously a lot better on the counter than United, but that's the sort of style I believe that you will play in order to try and win the game. So as long as we can learn from that, then I think Luke mentioned about the managers. As long as Arteta can learn from that, then I think we've got a really good chance of winning, minimum draw in this game.
I think what the thing is, the decision at Man United, I do understand it was very naive, but also you have to add the context that we didn't actually add the bench that we would have really liked. If you look at who we had on our bench, a few youngsters and all that, so you kind of looked at it.
We're also 2-1. We're also 2-1 down when he made that change, so we had to go for a goal. We had to gamble, and that's, I hate losing to United. It always stings, but I want us to gamble to try and win the game rather than just be safe and just see it out and lose.
That scoreline kind of.
It was never a 3-1 game.
It was never a 3-1 game. In fairness.
Hollie, sorry, before I come to you, I just want to give a little shout out to England's Player of the Year. Came off the bench for a little 20-minute cameo and 3 goal involvements. So there's plenty of people out there that don't like to give this guy credit. It's not even a Tottenham thing. It's not. Trust me, Luke and Wes. You see my content. There's a lot of fans that just they don't really have a reason. Listen,
even our own fans. It's not a Tottenham thing. Even our own fans.
It's not, bro. It's not, bro. It's not. But yeah, Saka, you have to give a shout out to him now. He come on and done his thing when he come on the other day. Brilliant. Gareth, you played him in the right position. That helps. So, if you can hear
innit?
Yeah, I know. Hollie, come back in.
No, I just wanted to touch on, obviously, we know how important this game is, and I know later on we'll probably get onto score predictions, but obviously it will determine who obviously stays above who. And I know you guys have mentioned, obviously, you've sorted out your defence, but Luke, I want to come to you because obviously Albert slightly mentioned it in our new set piece coach, but I think at the weekend he might come up trumps again, and I think we might score from a corner or a set piece.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting transition with him, really, because I think now we've scored the same amount of goals from corners than we did in the entire last season. So it just it proves that having somebody that kind of knows what they're doing, and it's the ability to be able to change. And when Arsenal think they know how we're going to set up for a corner, this guy apparently has 2,000-3,000 set piece routines in terms of what he can pick from. So it's going to be interesting whether they'll go with something mad and obscure to try and get a goal, or whether it will be different. I genuinely don't know how it's going to be, because as the Arsenal boys did say, there is some height in Arsenal, especially with Saliba's height, and I do rate him. I do think that Saliba is a decent centre back, but my worry for him, there's always a but. My worry for him is his statement at the start of the season, which was that if he doesn't play the majority, I'm not going to say all of the games, but the majority of the games.
He's already got a contract. He's already got a contract.
Yeah, trust me.
It's just a matter of
moments. He is playing most of the games, so
yeah. Rightly so.
But I just want to get Wes obviously as well, because obviously we were speaking about who we want to start at the weekend, but obviously Perisic is the main man for those deliveries. So hopefully, I'd like to say that he comes on at some point.
Yeah, I think it's from a Spurs perspective, it's nice to see somebody actually beat the first man from a set piece. We've been starved of it for so many years because we had Eriksen that couldn't beat the first man. We've had Son that can't beat the first man, and it's like, oh, Perisic, whip, touch, goal. Just if he's playing, whack the guy on the set piece. It's not rocket science at the end of the day. But when Luke was mentioning those 2,000-3,000 set pieces he's got up his sleeve, I'm thinking, even I'd hate to work with someone that's that kind of.
Do you think Eric Dyer can memorise 2,000 to 3,000 set pieces? I don't.
I don't even think Conte would be able to memorise it. To be fair, must have folders and folders, and it's right, here we go. This game, slideshow number 15, page 12, or something ridiculous like that. Here we go.
They learn it in the NFL, though, don't they? They learn. All these different hundreds and hundreds of plays in the NFL. It's possible that it can be done, but I agree with you. Can Harry Kane think of 2,000-3,000 words? Probably not.
No.
Yeah, that's interesting though, because it's very similar to us with our set piece coach. Since he's come in, he's been a revelation.
Brilliant.
In terms of scoring from set pieces, in terms of defending them, we've been quite good. I think we conceded our first set piece this season, and it went straight in from the corner. You know what I mean? So we've been quite good as well.
And Kesh as well. Gabriel last season was the leading goal scorer and centre back in the Premier League. No coincidence. Not a coincidence.
He's very quiet, isn't he?
He's just thinking about all those goals Gabriel was scoring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Set piece coming, incoming, but no. But no, guys, people, big up to the people in the chat. Sorry, thank you for your interaction. I didn't get to go through all the comments, but I didn't want to distract from sort of talking to the guys. But big up to you guys. If you haven't already, go and mash up the like button on both channels, man. And get them algorithms up, man. And subscribe to me and Hollie's channel and follow my esteemed guests on the Twitter handles going along the bottom of the screen. So we're coming to the end of the show, people, and obviously the most important thing is score predictions. So, Hollie, I'm going to leave you last, actually. Give you a bit of time to think about it, because I know you're in the last time Tottenham won at our stadium, you was probably, I don't know, you 10 years old, I think. I'm not sure how old you was, but no,
Probably 2.
No way, Hollie, no chance. No, but no, I'm going to start with the away team first. Actually, no, home team. I'll come to home team first. Sorry. Ray, what's your feeling? Gut feelings and score prediction.
Gut feeling 2-1 to the Arsenal. I think we got this. I think, like I say, you are dangerous, and I will give you credit for that. But I just think at home, we've got such a good record, and likewise, away to your stadium, it's the same in your favour. I just think, every North London derby, the home team's always, both teams bang up for it, aren't they? But the home team, normally you would sort of side with them. And like I say, I just think that we've got different options now. So I think we'll win it, but it will probably be quite close.
Oh, good shot. Let me mix it up a little bit. Let's come to Luke, actually. Let's see what Luke's going to say.
Do you know what? It's funny you came to me, because I'm flipping Ray's scoreline, 2-1 Spurs. Now, what I can envisage happening is, Ray's right. We will hit on the counter attack, but from what I've seen from Arsenal, you like to play on the front foot, you like to come forward. Spurs struggle against teams that sit back. I feel if you sat back and soaked us up, I think you could beat us. But I think what will happen is you will try and attack us, and it could happen. You may score the first goal. We do start slow, as Wes said, but I think that front three that I mentioned before. And I'd especially be looking at Kulusevski on the right hand side against. Is Tierney going to play? Because is Zinchenko?
Yeah, I think Tierney will start.
I think Tierney will come in.
So that's a battle that I'm very, very excited to see with Kulusevski and Tierney. So yeah, I'm going to say 2-1 Spurs.
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to the battle as well, Luke. But we obviously know he's going to come out on top. Our Scottish Braveheart in Kieran Tierney. Come on, boy. We're going to come to Kesh. Kesh, what you saying, bro?
I think these games, when Spurs play Arsenal, like Ray said, the home teams tend to always win. Reason being is this game is always won before the day of the game, because the media hypes it up, they start bringing the stats out, and the players tend to lose the battle in their heads before they get on the pitch. I do feel the game we will win 3-1. I do think we will win 3-1.
Go on, Kesh. King.
I do feel like, I know we talk about Spurs being better against teams that come out. I think if we do get the first goal, I don't think you will see us coming at you throughout the whole 90 minutes, because what Arsenal tend to do is we don't go into a low block, we go into a mid block once we get that first goal. And then what we'll try to do is let you come on, because then you have to come out. And then we'll try to take advantage of that. So the first goal will mean a lot to whichever team scores it.
Good shout. 3-1. I like that sounds beautiful, that doesn't it? Wes, coming to you, brother. What are you saying, man? What's your gut telling you? What's your gut feeling?
Oh man, I hate this fixture, I hate it.
Oh, I smell trepidation there. No,
do you know what it is? Because I feel like over the last few years, Spurs and Arsenal kind of been like that, and as a Spurs fan, you kind of feel like at times like we should be going to you guys and getting a result, and we've just not turned up, and it's been so frustrating to watch. I'll probably sit on the fence and go for a draw. I'm going to go 2-2.
Desmond.
With that one. Yeah, I'm going to go Desmond. I think it's one of those games where I think as a fan building up to it, obviously you're hyped, everything like that. When it comes down to it, you're like, right, let's call it a draw and get out of it. Shake hands. We've given you all the stick throughout the week. Let's get on with our lives, and we meet again later on in the season. But yeah, I do think there'll be goals in the game. So yeah, I'm going for a 2-2 draw because I feel like this Tottenham team has got something that we haven't had in a long time, and it's got a bit of fight about it. It's got a bit of passion about it, and I think that's why us as fans are getting behind the team as much as we can, whereas previously we've not been able to do so. So yeah, I'm going to go with a draw.
Ooh, I want to come to myself, and then I'll leave the final word to the Agambar, the Tottenham wife. Right. 2-1 Arsenal. Saliba set piece from a corner, and Gabriel. Sorry, Jesus and Saliba to score. 2-1 Arsenal. Hollie, coming to you. I know you're scared right now. You're not showing it, but I can feel the pressure. So, what's your head and your heart telling you?
It's just stress, isn't it, really? It's just stress throughout the whole week. Stress when the game starts. Stress when it's on. Stress when it's over. Just no. I'm going to be really boring, and I'm going to say 1-1.
Not 0-0. All right.
No, not 0-0. Jesus
Christ alive, you two are dragging me down.
Sorry. I have to go 1-1 just because I think, like Wes has kind of touched on, I don't think there's going to be as many goals, but I think we're both going to be very tentative because we know how much this means to both sets of fans in terms of how far we've come for both teams, if that makes sense. As in, you're on the up, we're slowly on the up. But if we can do it at Stamford Bridge, I can't see why we can't get a point off you at the Emirates. I don't know if we've got it in us to go and get the full 3 points, but I would be very happy with getting.
Can I ask? Do you feel if Arsenal gets the first goal, we're in trouble?
From previous matches, I would say no, because obviously we've gone behind so many times this season and come back. But because it's Arsenal and where it is and the occasion, yes, I would feel worried.
That's a fantastic
Likewise.
You know what it is with Arsenal? Kesha and Ray will probably vouch for me as well. We're starting games better, home and away.
Plus, that's the biggest plus.
That's the biggest plus because we're not just starting games well. We're getting ahead in games. Before there were periods where last season we were playing well, not getting the goal to go in at halftime 1-0 or 2-0. This season so far, starting a lot better, and we're at home, and a good record against Spurs.
Perfect time for a change, isn't it?
Yeah.
But people in the chat, get your virtual waves and hugs goodbye. This has been a fantastic match preview representing both sides of North London. My fantastic co-host. I'll come to you last. I'm going to give you a big billion because you deserve it. But Wes, I'm going to come to you first. Thank you for stepping in very, very last minute. I've done last minute, but not like this. So much love to you, brother, man. Where can the guys find you? Thank you for coming on for AlbertJTV and Hollie's Hotspurs.
That's all right, not a problem. Thank you for having me. It's been surprisingly good. To be fair, chewing the fat on a North London derby. Usually they're horrible. But no, people find me on Twitter at Wezo10, at Instagram at Wezo32. You'll usually see me up and down the country following Spurs as often as I can. I'm obviously at the game on Saturday.
Might see you there.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Not responsible for any chance that gets started in the away end by my good self. So yeah, and I also own my own football coaching business in the Milton Keynes area, Dele Alli country, as I like to call it. So it's Kickoff Football Academy. So at Kofa MK on Instagram and Facebook as well.
No, good shout. Well, no, brother, thanks for coming on last minute, man. Trust me, it's difficult to get people to come on, but to do that last minute and you plug for your team, and that's what you do, man. Particularly in North London derby. So much love to you, brother. Luke, nice to meet you for the first time, man. The Twitter face at last, but thank you for coming on, man. Tell me the people where they can find you.
Yeah, mate, you too. And honestly, thanks to all the guys that have come on because it's been a really, really good show. And thanks to everyone in the comments as well. Obviously, make sure that everyone subscribes to both of your channels, Hollie and yourself, because you know, we know as it is. It's hard to do this kind of thing, and it's hard to do good content. So keep it up, definitely. Right. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Luke_Parklane on Twitter. But more importantly, you can subscribe to my channel. It's a new channel, recently rebranded. So it's Park Lane Podcast on YouTube, Park Lane Pod on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. So yeah, show the love.
Well done, good shot. Well done, good shot. I'm not sure many of the Arsenal brothers are going to come and. They
do you know what? Join in. Do you know what? I always say to everyone, join in, subscribe, come have along. Come along. If you want to shout abuse, we welcome it. Let's bring it.
No, much love, man. Listen, I like to get rival fans on and collaborate, as my Tottenham wife can vouch for. But Hollie, I'll let you give a shout out to my two guys to give them a little plug.
Yes, defo. It's nice to, obviously, I think I've met you guys before. I think maybe my brain's a bit frazzled. But I'll come to you first, Ray. Where can everybody find you doing your thing, my friend?
So I'm just on Twitter, really. Ray_Kasim. I go to a lot of the home games at the Emirates. Unfortunately, not this one because tickets are like gold dust.
It is.
But I'll be watching somewhere and cheering the boys on. So yeah, come and chat to me on Twitter, and love talking football.
Love that, thank you. And also Kesh as well, mate. Good to have you on again, obviously with Albert as well. So where can everybody find you doing your thing as well?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, you can find me over on Twitter. It's _KESH_. That's all I'm on at the moment. I've stepped away from the YouTube thing for a bit, as I'm a bit too busy with other things at the moment. Of course. But yeah, come have a chat on Twitter, man. Throw some banner before the game. Yeah.
And after.
I'm going into hiding, man, if anything goes wrong.
I'm
literally flying a Greece on
do,
Monday.
so just,
I followed you boys now on Twitter, so
okay.
Okay.
Ready, man. Where's our follow? Don't worry, bro. It's coming, man. It's coming, brother.
Let's go for it. I'll just call Misha Dembele the GOAT on Twitter after the time, so I'm here for it.
He's not your profile picture, is he?
No, I'm not that sad.
He would be if he could.
Okay.
Shut up, Hollie.
Don't give it away. But yes, people, Hollie, always good to collab with you, man. Keep on doing the amazing work you're doing in your channel. I do keep an eye out, even if I don't pop in the comments sometimes. But yeah, you're doing fantastic stuff, man. Just keep striving, keep plugging, and keep the haters at arm's length, as I always say. So big up to you, Hollie. Big up to you.
And you, my friend. And you. Like I say, we don't see eye to eye on the football team, but you're all right.
Thanks for that glad endorsement. Anyway, but people, AlbertJTV, your joint collaboration host. People, like I said, come and subscribe to my channel and also Hollie's as well. Like I said, smash the like button on my channel and Hollie's because we're both broadcasting from both channels. But guys, a big game. Looking forward to it. I will confirm with all the footballing community if I do actually get a ticket. But I'm still trying. It's not looking fantastic, but we'll see. But people, we are over and out. North London Derby match preview. Come on, you Gunners. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Gunners.
Up Spurs.